Hello and welcome to Fire in the Belly. Today we have myself, Mighty Pete, and we're joined by Christine McGonagle. Good morning, I should say. Yes, good morning indeed.
Good morning, Pete. How are you?
Doing powerfully well, thank you. Listen, it's great to have you on. So Christine, tell us, who are you, what do you do, and where are you from?
I'm Christine McGonagle. I'm from Buncrana in County Donegal. I'm a menopause mentor, also an entrepreneur, and now I'm an author.
How does it feel to say that you're now an author?
Still getting used to it. I am still getting used to it, but it's real now once I've seen the book, you know. So yeah, it's a really got out of my box for this one.
Wow. So, well, congratulations on becoming an author. So tell us, what's it all about?
The book in itself is about the lives of 21 people, their life stories and what they've been through and how they've come to be where they are now. It's very, very inspirational. As much as some of the parts can be a bit sad, but you'll always see where they were, where they needed to go and how they got there.
So tell us, I mean, what it's like writing the book for you? What did that mean?
First of all, it was a great opportunity. I think I accepted and said yes before I actually really thought about it. And then I found it tough because I had a lot to cover. There was a lot of things I've done a lot in my life. I've been through a lot in my life, but there's just certain things that I zoomed in on, and it was therapeutic for me at the end of the day as well. And not only that, it's maybe I spoke a lot about my father who lost his life very young, and to me it's part of him being recognized for the good man that he was and how he's still very much part of my life. Wow. Even though it's been 29 years since his passing.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, there's 29 years, it's a long time, but it's also a short time, right?
Very short, very short. To a family member who's lost a loved one, it can be as refreshing in your mind. Those distressing times can be as fresh as if it was last week.
Wow. So what
then if you come through the way I did, you can. I now realize it took 20 years, but I now realize how much my father's still with me, which is a blessing. It's got me to where I am now.
It sounds like your father was a positive influence in your life.
He was. I'm an only child, and I was daddy's girl, as many once said. I should have been a boy, because when I was younger, you would have seen me on a bike, on a sleigh, on anything, jumping over fences, gates, whatever. Typical tomboy. My father was a mechanic, and you would have seen me under the bonnet of a car, nosing to see what he was doing, or in behind the wheel. He would tell you, start her up now, turn her off, you know, rev it up, you know. Typical daddy's girl in such a sense.
Oh, that's powerful. And what were you trying to get across in the book? What's your intention?
I'm a single mother, and I was obviously married. I have 6 of a family, 1 daughter and 5 sons, 5 grandchildren as well. And like my marriage separated in 2008, and it was tough, you know, and there's so many people out there like that. And I had to get up and just get on with it, which at times I didn't. I'll hold my hands up and say I didn't. But to me, it was the people that I surrounded myself with. I was introduced to a group of people by one of my sons one time. And from there on, I never looked back. I changed my aspect of where I wanted to be. I started to realize and recognize different circumstances that I ended up in. Does that make any sense? You know, I started to recognize different traits in people. So, excuse me, I was yawning. Yeah, so to me, it's very much of the company I keep.
That makes sense. And I mean, is that strong advice that you would put across for people to be mindful of your company and your people around you?
Absolutely. I like to be around positive people. And it's actually a quote that I heard this morning by Steve Harvey was, you can't expect to soar like an eagle if you're running with the turkeys, which I found at my ears just went, what? You know, so yeah, that clicked with me this morning. That's just one example of it. Like you can't, you know, it's not that I'm snobby or think any higher of myself than anybody else, but for my own personal well-being, I like to be in the right situation with the right people. And not everybody would get what I do. That's fine. You know, I have family who would maybe not understand what I do or where I want to go or how I need to get there because they think, oh, you're doing too much and whatever. That's genuine concern on their behalf. But I'm not going to listen to, oh, you can't do that. You know, maybe you're, you know, the negative side of it, because I'm driven. I have somewhere to go and I'm getting there. I'm on the steps to getting there. So, and like I accept that with family and friends and things like that. So that's fine, you know, but I really do soar when I'm along with those, the likes of people like yourself.
Thank you. And talk to us about the actual writing process. Is that something you enjoyed? Did it come naturally for you?
It did eventually when I put my mind to it. When, you know, I procrastinated at the start and I thought, I can't do this. I talked myself out of it. And then I thought, but you're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be helping other people, you know. So I had to take myself to a meet off and get on with it. And once I sat down and did start to actually lay it out, it just all came to me. And then when I wrote it out, typed it up, and then I was, you know, I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then I read it over and I thought, oh, that's not bad. You know, I actually did that. You know, so it was a very humbling experience for me to be invited in the first place, but then to do it and realize myself, that's not bad. You know, from somebody who has no major, I don't have degrees, I don't have college background. I did do a year in college as a mature student, but had to leave because of illness. And yeah, I was quite chuffed with myself, to be honest, you know, and then to see the book come together. Yeah, it's been a great experience. And I do think that in time I have a goal that when I reach a certain financial figure, I'm going to write my own book, tell my own life story, and hopefully inspire others as well with that. But I'll go more in depth with that.
And have you, I mean, has this process actually, you know, has it changed you as a person?
Yeah, I think it's given me more confidence. I thought I was a confident person before that. This has actually added to that. I've always wanted to write a book. It's always been in my head. And I've like, as I say, it's what I always would tell myself, you can't do that. How are you going to do that? Whereas now, I've done it. And, you know, it was just because I left myself open to opportunity. That opportunity came to me, and it's worked fantastically. Confidence that, yes, I know that I can sit down and write a book. And I know where to go to get it published. I know how to work it. I know how to do this, and I know how to lay it out. And I know who I can trust within the system to help me do that. So yeah, it has changed me. Definitely boosted the confidence.
That's brilliant.
Personally within myself.
So tell us, I mean, what areas do you cover through your work in the book?
Sorry, Peter, I'm having a lot of background noise here with rain. Looking for my head.
So yeah, so talk to us about the areas that you've covered in your work in the book.
Well, my chapter is called The White Feather. And that has a lot to do with my father. A lot of things that I've done in my life has to do with my father. And you'll understand my chapter in the book, my belief in myself, and not only that, it's taken the grief, that deep, deep grief that I've always carried, has taken that away from me. So grief, other things that I've covered is suicide. I'm not going to go into that now at the moment. It can be read in the book. But one thing I will say is I never understood anybody who would commit suicide until I found myself twice in a position that I couldn't see no other way. But thankfully, just by coincidence, somebody said a few words to me and it brought me to lead me to go a different direction. And then the first time it was innocent interaction with family that brought me out of it. So what I've realized is, even though you don't realize you're doing it, but speak up. You know, that's massive for me. Speak up. Doesn't matter how bad, good, ugly, or indifferent that it is, speak up. Because that's what saved me twice. And I can understand now how somebody would go so low. I can understand depression at its finest, and how like nobody would ever known that I was depressed or having suicidal thoughts, because I kept to myself. I've always kept to myself. But I think that's something that during my life, my adult life, I was kind of felt isolated. So yeah, the suicide, financial distress, losing my home, and then coming out the other side of that. I lost my home. I'm sitting in it again. I'm back in it. There's a story behind all that. And the book made me look back and realize, oh my God, look how far you've come. Look what you did. And there's days I think, oh God, I need to do this and I need to do that and stay that. And I think, no, hold on. I got here by myself. I did it. So what else can I do? And who can I help in the process while doing that? So yeah, I've covered menopause in the book, what effect that had in my life, and what effect it actually has on all the women in Ireland and the UK, and the lack of specialists, especially here in Donegal. So I'm in the process of working a lot there on changing things. So yeah, I've covered quite a bit and got a long way, and the book's made me realise that.
How do you think the book fits into today's world?
Today's world, pre-COVID and COVID. To me, COVID has brought a lot more strain on a majority of people. We had grieving, we had suicide, we've had men's health, we've had women's health, domestic violence, financial stress, all across the board before COVID kicked in. Now, for some people, that would have multiplied. Personally, I've gone in massively to self-development, even more so than what I was before. I've had the time to do it because I was working pre-COVID and my job went with COVID. So I don't have to leave the house anymore. I've learned to do what I need to do from home. And I've pivoted a lot. I've learned to use the computer, the laptop, I've gone into things that I've never dreamed I could do, and I'm not as scared of the laptop as I used to be. So the book would have a massive effect on people if they were to read it, to see we're no different to everyday people out there, you know, and if we can do it, so can they. You know, it's so inspirational, and there's so many factual information in it that, you know, and we've all given our contact details for people to reach out to us. Like, we're there to help anybody and everybody. So the book is, to me, is something that's needed, badly needed. You know, and people need to read it. Definitely do.
What message would you like people to take away from reading it?
Well, for me personally, it would be just be mindful of what you're telling yourself. And the more you tell yourself that you can, leave don't, cannot, but out of your vocabulary. Leave it out. If you're not sure of something, ask somebody. There's nothing you can't do. Nothing you can't do. It doesn't matter how little it is. It doesn't matter how big it is. You don't need to be a millionaire to be successful. You just need to be happy with what you've got and what you're doing. If you're going to dream big. If your dreams aren't that big and it suits you, that's fine. We're all individual. We all know, or maybe some of us don't know what we want to do, but that's okay too. Reach out to somebody. Always speak up and reach out. And never, ever give up. Never.
And for you, I suppose, writing the book, I mean, has that helped you to sort of see, you know, I suppose all the experience and you know, thank you for sharing. I mean, all the things you've been through. I mean, did you ever see yourself as writing a book? Was this on your to-do list?
It was at the bottom. It really was at the bottom. I didn't have the confidence to do it. I didn't have the know-how. Yeah, it was definitely at the bottom. Now, writing the book wasn't easy. I have, this is nearly empty. Even when I finished and I read back over it, and the tears were flying and everything. But yeah, it was on the bottom. But like that, during COVID, I joined different networks online and things like that. And it was all about putting myself out there. Now, I sat back for a long time, but people spoke to me and gave me the confidence to speak up. And that was fabulous. You know, people need to speak up to people. Speak up. You don't need to be a professional. You don't need to be anything. You just need to be you. Because that being you is okay. And just get yourself around other people, other like-minded people, genuine people. And you'll be grand.
What sort of feedback have you had from sort of close people and friends that have either sort of got a preview or you've spoken to since?
I haven't said, I think this is the most I've said about what's in the book so far. Quite a few family have sent me some very emotional texts. I have received a few texts from people and I've said to them, you know, you better go and get books. And they're going, what? But yeah, and people that I never expected to text me or buy the book or whatever, and they have. And I'm so humbled by that, you know, and so grateful because, yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised. But I will be getting back on to everybody, obviously, because I want to make sure everybody's bought a book. I'm going to be torturing everybody.
So what's the release date then? When is it all coming out?
It's been released on the 5th of November.
Mm-hmm.
And up until that date, all pre-sales are all going to the Kevin Bell Trust. The Kevin Bell Trust is a foundation who take Irish people who have unfortunately lost their lives in other countries, and for the removal to bring that person home to their loved ones and take all that stress off the family. They deal with legislation, they deal with all the travel, they deal with everything. So any money that is made, that the book sales, it's all going to the Kevin Bell Trust up until the 5th of November. So as many people now who could buy the book, please buy it now, because I'm sure you'd agree with me, Pete, we didn't do this for money. So after the 5th of November, if there's sales, that's fine. But we'd rather everybody bought now so that the money would go to the Kevin Bell Trust.
It is an amazing charity, you know, and it's lovely to donate all the profits to, you know, to the charity, which is, I think it's, as you say, it's not about the money. I think it's about getting the story out there. It's about helping. It's about sharing. It's about connecting. It's powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because anybody I've spoken to so far, everybody knows somebody who the Kevin Bell Trust have helped. You know, just off the top of my head, I know of 2 people here in this area, Buncrana and Clonmany, who the families, the Kevin Bell Trust have stepped in and helped. And even, is it okay to name them?
Mm-hmm.
The McGonagle family in Buncrana, I went to school with Andrea, and Andrea's daughter Danielle was murdered in India. So the Kevin Bell Trust stepped in there and helped out, and Andrea just so grateful to them for it. And then, you know, it was such a young life as well. It was such a distressing situation. And on the same hand then as well, a local man in Clonmany, Mark Ivers, suddenly lost his life while he was away working in the UK. Such distress to the family here, massive family here. And Kevin Bell Trust stepped in again and relieved them of some of that stress. So, you know, it's always on your doorstep. You don't think it, but it's always on your doorstep.
That's an amazing service to have at a time that is undoubtedly, you know, extremely emotional and traumatic. So it's a fantastic cause for that. So,
Yeah.
What's next for you then? Now you're going to be celebrating the book and going forward. What's next on the agenda?
I have quite a few opportunities. I'm putting my ducks in a row. I'm very, very, very busy. And as you'll read in the book, one thing I will say that I did a deal with the bank. So I have a one-off payment of 60,000 to gather up to pay off the bank, and then I'm mortgage free. And that's courts, everything gone. My home is legally then my own. So I am working from morning to night. And because of me opening myself up to opportunities coming my way. So I'm still studying and training, as well as setting up a couple of different little businesses as well. So you just keep an eye out for me on Facebook or LinkedIn. You'll see me up there. I'm going to be very strong within the next couple of weeks. Everything's going to be going out literally at the one time. So I'm going to be very busy and also employing more people.
A busy woman, and you know what? It's wonderful for you to share that story, and I know so many people are going to learn, and you know it's going to affect so many people, you know, and it's going to help so many people. So thank you for sharing that. It's really something special.
Thanks for having me, Pete.
It's been a pleasure. So sales, all the books are available for sale now. We will put a link on the show notes below, and from the 5th of November. So that's it. So Christine, thank you very much.
Thank you, Pete. Have a great day.